Hello and welcome to a 1v1 cast on Calderas Refinery. Starting off on the left hand side, we have VindicareX playing as the Force Commander using the Black Templar's elite colour scheme, and on the other side of the map we have Big Mathis playing as the Hive Tyrant with the Hive Fleet Dragon elite mod colour scheme. Very tanky hero. And starting off already, some double Termagants going to be coming in for Big Mathis. Was hoping to kind of see some triple Homagons similar to his triple Slugger build when he plays as Orcs. VindicareX going to go for a standard build as well with his double Scouts. Big Mathis might actually decide to follow up these second Termagants with a fourth squad, although with him pinning down the power it might not be as likely, and he'd be following up the rest of his units with either Raveners or Warriors, potentially Raveners with a Warrior call-in come tier 2. VindicareX, not really sure what he might go for. He might go for Devastators, given that it's a Hive Tyrant. He might go for ASMs to try and jump onto the Termagants. He might go for some upgrades on the Force Commander, and he might go for some upgrades on his Scouts as well, but we will see. But the Hive Tyrant going to be engaging the Force Commander here in mid. Hive Tyrant is going to land a special, but the Force Commander popping that battle cry makes him immune to knockback, and will be able to actually cap the VP and be able to turn and fight that Hive Tyrant, although you can't really see the action too clearly with the VP in the way. But the Hive Tyrant is going to be retreating away fairly early. I've taken a lot of damage there, or was going to take a lot of damage there from these Tactical Marines and Scouts. And Termagants also going to be upgraded extremely quickly here to the Toxin Sacs upgrade, which makes me think that Big Mathis is going to be going for Raveners instead of Warriors in his build. Homagons onto this left hand side, going to be met though by some Tactical Marines, and Tactical Marines will be able to hold their own against some Homagons, assuming that Tactical Marines are able to get plenty of shots in before they're able to engage in melee combat. Force Commander going to be slowed in his path there by the Toxin Sacs upgrade there on the Termagants, the crippling poison ability, slowing your units down to about 90% I believe for a selected squad. But the Force Commander landing some specials there, able to take down a couple of models and give him a small amount of XP, and also upgraded very quickly there to the Artificer's Armor, giving him 2.5 health regen per second, extra health and also extra energy as well. Could see the Iron Halo coming for him later on with that extra energy, making him very tanky, making it very annoying for these double Termagants to actually kaiser around, just because he'll have so much health with this Iron Halo, assuming that he doesn't actually pop the battle cry, making him even tankier since he'll have more energy available. And already the VP bleed is starting to set in a little bit here. 500 VPs to 430. The 2-2-0 cap there hurting Big Mathis quite a bit early on in terms of VPs. But Mathis now claiming his natural, is starting to claim mid as well at the same time. These Scouts behind green cover Termagants, also behind green cover Termagants, should win this engagement here. The Scouts coming in with Grenade. Grenade is going to get thrown down, and the Termagants will be able to dodge it, but Termagants out in the open, Scouts also out in the open, and both going to go behind cover once again. But Termagants with the Toxin Sacs upgrade do quite a bit of damage in fact. And Raveners are starting to get built here for Big Mathis, and the Iron Halo is also getting built by the Force Commander. Some lucky guesses for me, or lucky predictions. Homagons still on that left hand side. Raveners will be very nice to actually disrupt anything, but the thing is there is actually nothing to disrupt right now. But the Raveners with their Devour upgrade, the amount of burst damage that they will do will help provide Mathis with enough damage to actually burst down this Force Commander before he's able to tie up any units. The double crippling poison abilities onto the Force Commander will stop him in his tracks, and you actually need to be careful when you stack the crippling poison. You want to make sure not to actually stack it. I believe if you have one crippling poison here, and if you were to use a second one, the second one would actually have no effect. You actually need to wait for the crippling poison to run out and then cast it again on the Force Commander, as far as I am aware, or if I remember correctly. But the Devour upgrade coming in, that Iron Halo isn't going to last too long against Raveners. You can already see a burst from his Termagants, and Raveners bring that Force Commander's shield down by half. And they're now turning too far once again, but the shield turning back on once again. This Force Commander though, very tanky, is able to continue chasing down that bolt pistol, doing about 16 DPS, able to take down a couple of Termagant models, but in the end gain 4 stuff here, as he is alone against the entire army here of Big Mathis. And Devastators are going to be the choice here for Vindicare. Could see some Vengeance rounds come into this. Vengeance rounds are very effective against commanders in close proximity, but the Hive Tyrant will have to just back away then. But could see some Vengeance rounds on these Devastators though. as an extra deterrent from that Hive Tyrant. But Homagon's going to be leaping in here. Shotgun scouts are in the vicinity and Devastators are set up. The Raveners going to be burrowing onto these Devastators here instead, and the Homagons are following these Tactical Marine. Shotgun blast isn't going to be going off because a grenade got thrown instead, and the grenade does actually miss, and the Homagons landing a special down to the Tactical Marines, but the Homagons switching focus now to the Devastators. Going to be taking a model here. Could turn and maybe try and focus down these Tactical Marines or Scouts instead, but really wants a second Devastator model by the looks of it, and Homagons are going to be backing away in the end. Scouts still capping on this right hand side here. He's going to actually throw a lot of upgrades. VindicareX is going to be a bit low on power in comparison to Big Mathis, and Big Mathis even getting a second Homagon brood, presumably to go around and cap the map, since this initial set of Homagons has now become a fighting set of Homagons. With the Homagons here in the fight, going to be forced off here by the Force Commander, who has taken a lot of damage so far from these Raveners and Termagants as well. But Vindicare coming out of base once again. The Hive Tyrant will not be able to finish off that Force Commander. Hive Tyrant does also have the Rending Talons upgrade, giving him 75 melee DPS in tier 1 compared to his standard weapon. Broodnest could get placed down in mid, and that is why Big Mathis is actually going to retreat his Homagons. But Broodnest could get placed down in mid, allowing him to reinforce on the field, and the second set of Homagons have also been upgraded with the Adrenal Glands as well, so a lot of upgrades for Big Mathis as well as VindicareX, although the upgrades for VindicareX are going to be costing a bit more, especially with 2 upgrades on his commander compared to the 1 of the Hive Tyrant. But the Homagons sitting around the area, wanting to go onto that left hand side and cap. The Shotgun Scouts do have their Shotgun Blast available. Grenade is still in cooldown, I believe. Raveners do actually have their burrow once again, so these Devastators, we need to be careful. There is a second set coming in, but neither is set up and neither is led whatsoever, so the Raveners are free to do what they want at the moment. And now the Scouts are going to be the target here. Going to be bleeding a model before being forced away. Neither player tier 2 yet. Big Mathis is actually got enough resources and will be the first person to go tier 2. VindicareX is needing another... Can't actually do the maths in my head right now. Gonna need another 40 power to take up to tier 2. The Homagon's going to be capping up that power node. Vindicare back in control of mid, and the VPs are somewhat more neutral compared to what they were earlier. VPs now 432 to 385. Big Mathis did have a 80 VP lead earlier on. That VP lead has now been closed down to about 50. Tactical Marines going to be capping there, going to be very annoying on these requisition points given how quickly Tactical Marines can actually decap for the Emperor getting used onto some Devastators here. The lead Devastators though not focusing down these Raveners. Raveners are free to actually move into the second Devastator squad here. Bit of a mistake for Vindicare. Termagants and Homagons trying to do what they can against that Force Commander. Devastators going to get interrupted once again though by some Homagons, and the Force Commander is able to actually tie up these double Termagants. But the Devastators going to get forced off here by the Raveners and also by the Homagons, and some more Homagons coming in onto the retreat path of this Force Commander. But the Force Commander is going to be able to retreat in a nice way here as the Homagons are trying to reposition that Force Commander, trying to bleed as many models as possible with that sidearm. His sidearm very efficient actually at bleeding these Termagant models, but because every unit's done the damage as well to these units, he's not actually gained the XP for himself, which is ideally what you would want, so you can level up your Force Commander extremely quickly. But the Hive Tyrant is actually going to get the extended Carapace armor, so he can actually charge in and charge out. Given that there are 2 Devastators, the charge in ability will come in very useful in conjunction with the Raveners being able to burrow in. And I could definitely see a Warrior Call-in come in tier 2 once Mathis actually gets enough red for this. Meanwhile, Raveners going to be sitting in mid here. Scouts trying to do what they can. Scouts do need to be careful of the Raveners' burst damage, but the Raveners themselves going to be retreating back to base very low on full models, but still very low on health. And the Homagons and Termagants here, they're like they're trying to re-engage, but Devastators are going to try and set up in the area. Scouts also have a grenade available. Tactical Marines were able to actually decap and cap with both of these requisition points here, and even one of them is actually going to start fully maturing at this point as well. Mathis really needs to actually get control of his requisition points. Right now, VindicareX in control of 4 requisition points, although VindicareX's requisition income is only slightly higher compared to Big Mathis. In fact, I really thought it would be a much bigger difference, but apparently it isn't. The Scouts trying to pick up some Homagon models. Their default bolters only doing about 7 DPS each, about the same as what an ASM bolt pistol does. It's not the most powerful weapon there for the Scouts, but enough to actually pick off some Termagants. And Mathis keep all those units on the field with low models here. Maybe he's going to place down a brood nest as well at some point. Actually, he's only got 97 red, so he can't actually do that. So I'm not too sure, but Tyrant Guard is coming out, and currently VindicareX has nothing to really answer the Tyrant Guard. Tyrant Guard is super heavy infantry, so power melee weapons, plasma weapons, inferno damage is effective against the Tyrant Guard, and could see a plasma gun upgrade onto his tactical marines, could see a thunder hammer. And as I say that, the announcer announces the Force Commander is getting that thunder hammer. Thunder hammer, more for groups rather than the Tyrant Guard itself, but it will still work against the Tyrant Guard with its 62.5 power melee DPS, and which does 125 to single targets, or 125 per swing rather. Combine that with 40 Emperor as well, and Force Commander can definitely do a lot of damage to this Tyrant Guard that's coming in. Missile launcher is what's getting called in for tactical marines. Neither Devastator though upgrading to Vengeance rounds, or for the last cannon though. I think it's a good idea to try and counter the Tyrant Guard without having the last cannon upgrade. The suppression is so useful for the rest of the army that you want to try and keep it. These scouts though just on a dangerous mission going in for a shotgun blast. And I hope that was worth it. The Tyrant Guard might be able to finish these scouts off in retreat here. These other scouts are also going to be going down. Vindicare really throwing his scouts here. The Homogon's Tyrant Guard is able to finish off that second scout squad. 2 scout squads going down, and they were near fully upgraded as well. But the Force Commander is able to level up and force off the rest of Big Mathis' army. The problem is losing scouts with a sergeant and scouts with shotguns and a sergeant at the same time is a big turning point in the game here for VindicareX. He is ahead in VPs though, 432 to 273, but the scout losses here really coming in, or will come in big time later on. Will affect him later on anyway. But Brood Nest is going to get placed down here. Tyrant Guard is in the shield wall formation and healing up, and currently there's nothing to really stop it. A Whirlwind is getting purchased here, and Devastator's going to be upgrading to Vengeance rounds. Plasma gun is also purchased on the tactical marines as well as a sergeant to help counter that Tyrant Guard. I'm not too sure about the Whirlwind, given that the Force Commander already has a Thunder Hammer. Him spreading units around with the Whirlwind spreading units around means the units won't be grouped up enough for these, or for either of them to be as effective in a sense. The double devs coming in towards mid, 1 Devastator squad armed with those Vengeance rounds going to be effective against the Tyrant Guard. Not necessarily when it's in shield wall formation as much as it does do some decent damage, but overall Vengeance rounds are always fun to use with the increased amount of damage, and that Brood Nest will definitely be going down. Capillary Tower is also in mid as well. Big Mathis doesn't actually have the amount of red right now to replace that. Brood Nest is 2 red away, I believe. Brood Nest does cost 100 red as far as I remember. Now he does have the red, leaving some Homogon models. Vengeance rounds not activated onto these Devastators. I think the Vengeance rounds would have really hurt that Tyrant Guard quite a bit. These tactical marines are going to be a bit caught out here. Homogons and the Hive Tyrant going to be doing a lot of damage. That special as well is going to cost that tactical marine sergeant. Homogons should be able to finish off the sergeant. The Force Commander is now coming into action. The Whirlwind is trying to do what it can, but there's so many units spread out right now. Tyrant Guard is going to take down that tactical marine sergeant as well, and Raven is going to try and escape away. Vengeance round Devastators coming back in once again here, going to try and do what they can. Vengeance rounds were activated, but focusing down Homogons, and Devastators going to be losing a model. Force Commander getting absolutely battered around here by that Hive Tyrant trying to charge in with the extended carapace. Now Battlecry is still not activated for the Force Commander. Wants to keep as much energy as possible for that energy shield. Going to be fighting that Hive Tyrant. 40 Emperor could actually get spammed here for Vindicare, but isn't in the end, and Tyrant Guard will be able to finish off that Force Commander as well. Scouts have also been replaced here for Vindicare. Imagine that this is for repairs for the Whirlwind and also for some side capping action as well. That drop pod is going to be coming in, allowing Vindicare to actually reinforce in the field and also gives him an extra tactical marine squad, which can be upgraded with a plasma gun as well to help fight the Tyrant Guard, or could be even upgraded to Stone Guards given that the Sergeant has been purchased first for the squad. Tyrant Guard though still kicking around, is level 2 now, and a Venom Brood is coming out on the field, already upgrading to that range synapse, going to give the Tamagons extra damage. How much does damage is? 36% damage, 35% damage, sorry, at level 1. Scouts going to be losing a model here. For the Scouts would be more for side capping more so than anything else. These tactical marines still not upgrading to Stand Guards, might just keep the Sergeant, but Raven is going to be burrowing in him, going to be knocking back both Devastator squads, and none shall fall. And they shall know no fear. So again, used onto these tactical marines, going to be landing 50% specials. The problem is that they actually have no health. Vengeance rounds doing a lot of damage. Raveners trying to fight that Force Commander. Double devs are currently uninterrupted right now. The Vengeance rounds doing what he can here. Force Commander with that battle cry is going to be knocking back some of these Homogons. The Homogon squad most likely going to be going down here. One squad is down to just 28 HP. Will be able to get away, but the second squad will actually go down in the end. And now this Tyrant Guard is in a little bit of trouble, but the Vengeance rounds, I'm not actually sure, are going to be enough to kill it, especially while it's in their shield wall formation. It's going to be regenerating up a lot of energy, a lot of health, sorry.
We shall make it so. War gear distribution canceled.
Vengeance rounds though has a long-ish cooldown, but you can see the Vengeance rounds are able to actually out-damage the healing here from the Tyrant Guard, even in close quarters. Maybe if you're a little bit closer it would have a bit more of an effect. But the Venom Brood and Termagants coming in the second set of Devastators really need to set up 2 Dev models going down. Hive Tyrant is going to be charging in here unaffected by that whirlwind. These Tactical Marines do need to back away here. Still level 1. Could still be upgraded to Stone Guards, although they're actually halfway to level 2, so maybe he wants to actually keep them in its Tactical Marine formation. In fact, VindicareX actually might want to take up to tier 2, although at the same time he might want to repurchase his Force Commander, given that he is fully upgraded with the Thunderhammer, Artificer's Armor, and Iron Halo, and that he's already leveled as well, or level 2 in fact, before he might be level 3 by now. But Big Mathis is going to be setting up in mid once again, 318 VPs to 250. Vindicare still leading in VPs, and his army size has now caught up to that of Big Mathis's, although his commander is still currently dead on the ground. Tyrant Guard is going to be hitting level 3 fairly soon, and Hive Tyrant as well is also level 3 at the becoming very tanky as well. Tyrant Guard gaining an extra 250 health upon leveling. Standardly, or in its standard form, it only has 2,500. Level 2 does have 2,750, which is quite a large increase, given that it is super heavy infantry as well. But Stone Guard Veteran is going to be using the Dragonfire rounds, which are effective against units behind cover, which I don't think that he should be using. I think he should be using the Poisonous rounds, which I actually forgotten the name of. That Tyrant Guard though doing a lot of damage to these Tactical Marines, going to take a model away from them. Stone Guard Veterans also forced to retreat away. Whirlwind is going to be backing out of here as well. The Devastators retreated before those Raveners actually get the knockback onto them as well. And Vindicare going to be repurchasing his Force Commander at the same time. Meanwhile, Big Mathis is going to go in here for the Power Bash, 287 VPs, 250 Vindicare, slowly bleeding VPs, and will bleed even quicker now that Big Mathis is going to go for his natural VP. Force Commander still a little bit low on energy. When you repurchase your commanders have the same amount of energy they did as when they died. And if they use an ability before they die, that ability is on cooldown, so the cooldowns are unaffected throughout death whatsoever. The Big Mathis trying to take a bit more of a defensive position, is currently a 2-0 cap and wants to bash his power, and has bashed his power completely in fact. Stone Guard Veterans coming in once again. What are these Vengeance rounds? I can't actually tell on the Stone Guards, I'm not familiar with the different icons on them. I'm pretty sure these are the Dragonfire rounds. This one can correct me if I am wrong. Tyrant Guard now level 3 on 3,025 health, 3,000 health of super heavy infantry, which is an insane amount. An extra 525 health compared to a level 1 Tyrant Guard with extra damage, and that's the importance of trying to keep your units alive. Unit preservation in this game really does help out a lot. Brood Nest is also going to get placed down once again. Big Math is going to be falling back to his own Brood Nest and going to be healing up here. I'm waiting for Vindicare presumably to actually set up in mid and then just do a massive potion and force him off once again. Scouts though going to be taking out their Plasma Gun Tactical Marines. Could always try and focus on Venom Brood to try and get some bombs to actually go off. Tyrant Guard is coming in here once again. Kraken rounds are now activated. I'm not sure if Kraken rounds actually affect super heavy infantry of the Tyrant Guard or if they're just for heavy infantry. I think they're only for heavy infantry, but I am not too sure on that. But Homogon's going to be leaping in onto these Tactical Marines. I'm not sure if They Shall Know No Fear is actually activated or is available, sorry. But the Force Commander coming in with that Thunderhammer will be able to force them off. Ravener's able to force off one set of Devastators, going to work on that second set of Devastators now. Tyrant Guard is trying to actually solo 3 squads at the same time. It looks like he's doing a pretty good job so far, but the Tyrant Guard will need to enter shield wall formation if it wants to try and protect itself, because it is taking a lot of damage. That Force Commander though, the Iron Halo was activated maybe a little bit too late. But, well, actually it just activated in time. Tyrant Guard is forced into that shield wall formation. I think one more hit may have done it for the Force Commander if he decided to retreat away there. But the Venom Brood trying to chase down this whirlwind, down to just 22 HP. If he puts down a couple of attack, he might get enough movement speed. 22 HP, those 2 shots, those 3 shots miss, but the 4th shot will actually hit and get rear armor onto that whirlwind and actually take it down. Vindicare is going tier 3, sorry, as well. Big Mathis is already tier 3, and I believe he's already, he's got a Khan effects on the field. Brood Nest getting placed down once again, but the VP's still in favor of VindicareX, even though Big Mathis has been winning fight after fight by the looks of things.
I fear nothing, for I am fear incarnate.
Big Math is going to be setting up once again in mid. A second brood nest, a more forward brood nest even, is going to be set up, and Homogon's going to be going onto that left hand side, going to be capping up. These requisition points have been fairly untouched here for VindicareX, so he's actually had his requisition economy in a decent spot. Big Mathis on 155 rec income. That is what happens when you are on 93 pop out of 100 compared to Vindicare is only on 60. So Vindicare not having to pay as much upkeep on 249, but at the same time Vindicare lacking for power, as is natural. It's still not been repurchased, but he did actually have a lot of power saved up upon entering tier 3 or upon teching to tier 3. The one fully matured requisition point has now been taken down. You can see how badly that's actually affected his economy. That's minus or 30 requisition income taken away from him, so he's now down to just 219, and Homogon's going to be able to get away without losing a single model, but having to repurchase that endless swarm or having to pay half the cost to get it back, since one of the last to die models actually died in their previous engagement. But the Carnifex here, Carnifex is a fawn-back Carnifex, a melee variant Carnifex, allowed to actually spawn Rippers as well, and also has that melee charge which you just saw against these Tactical Marines, and that Sergeant is taking a lot of damage as well, but is not going to be going down. Standguard Veteran still in the engagement here, do need to be a bit careful. Kraken rounds activated once again. I believe those are Kraken rounds anyway. Could be Vengeance rounds I've also seen. As I said, I'm not actually familiar with all the different logos on the top of the Standguard's head, and I know that is what's used to actually show what kind of rounds they are using. But Devastators though going to be taking the fact that Devastator is going to be wiped. I think that special may have actually done it, but the last cannon slow is coming in here, and Devastators might be able to get us away. Will be able to get us away with one model because of this last cannon here, and Orbs of Bombardment is available for VindicareX, and that might be why he is not spamming for the Emperor right now. For the Emperor on that last cannon would have definitely helped get that Carnifex a little bit lower. The Predators are going to be coming out for him, so we know that he isn't going to be spending his red on Terminators just yet. So it could be spamming for the Emperor, or could be going for that Orbs of Bombardment. I think he's going to go for an Orbs of Bombardment though, as a try and save. There we go. Orbs of Bombardment is going to go down here, and it's going to go on top of that Carnifex, and catch down that Hive Tyrant as well. And that Carnifex is kind of sitting on top of that beam. The Predator does need to be a bit careful. Going to be catching out that Venom Brood. In fact, it's going to be wiping the Venom Brood here. The Force Clans are able to get swings on it. Carnifex also taking a lot of damage. Hive Tyrant though very low, down to 174 HP, but looks like he might be okay. The last cannon is focusing down the Tyrant Guard here instead of the Carnifex. The last cannon is set up in a bit of an awkward spot. Going to be trying to maybe focus down that Carnifex now. Predator can also try and chase as well. For the Emperor really should get used. I believe he does have enough red for it after casting that nuke. The Carnifex though is taking a lot of damage. 92 VPs. Predator is going to be able to finish off his Carnifex, but the Carnifex is going to be able to finish off that Standguard Veteran squad beforehand. Predator though is going to be still level 1 in fact. Predator Carnifex is still alive actually on 42 HP. They will now be going down. Raveners have also retreated away from the field. Termagant's in the air. Termagant's going for a triple cap here. Termagant's going to be forced off. The Tyrant Guard though is just level 3 and is just getting so much health regen here, but it should be going down to both the last cannon and the Predator. That should be way too much AV for this Tyrant Guard to actually handle by itself, and the last cannon is going to snipe it. Predator now hitting, or nearly hitting, level 2. In fact, Big Math is forced off the field nearly completely, but still got some Homogons on the field here, but they can't really do too much given that Force Commander is the one actually going in for the cap onto the VP here. The Standguard Veterans were killed for VindicareX. Scouts gain replace since he did lose them much earlier, and really needs the repair support for this Predator, since the Predator is going to be the thing that could potentially win him the game at this point. Homogots get to be running away, or running towards these Devastators, unable to actually take any models by the looks of it. Going to be forced to retreat away, and Force Commander on a retreat path will not be able to finish off these Homogons. There's just too many models here. Maybe if he got a special and actually hit the ground perfectly, he would be able to finish off that squad, but very unlikely. The Predator going to try and chase down Homogons. Will be able to get away though with 3 models at 49 HP. Hive Tyrant though with the Crushing Claw upgrade did actually have it in that previous engagement. Didn't actually get to use it because he did get lifted up by one of the Orbital Bombardment beams and then got knocked aside and was forced to retreat away. But a second Carnifex coming out onto the field could be upgraded with a Venom Cannon potentially to actually counter this Predator, or maybe it could be another fallen back Carnifex to try and melee down the Predator instead. Although with a last cannon with the speed of this Predator, a fallen back is probably not recommended. In fact, last cannon Devastator just on this left hand side, they're not even actually set up right now, so fallen back Carnifex might be able to surprise Vindicare. I'm not too sure on that. The Force Commander Taking a lot of damage, going to be seen behind some green cover with that Iron Halo activated, but the Predator is going to have free roam of the map essentially, given that Big Mathis actually has no ranged AV at the moment. Venom Brood did get caught out by one of the orbital bombardment beams. Vindicare knows that the Venom Brood are wiped completely. The orbital would have definitely finished off given the amounts of health that the Venom Brood had after the Force Commander went to town on them, and the Predator's not going to be trying to bash some power. Bashing power the Predator might not matter so much late in the game, but the Predator needs all the XP it can get so it can actually become level 4. Twin Link Last Cannon might be an idea now, but there's a second Carnifex on the field. This Carnifex currently unupgraded given that there are lack of resources for Big Mathis, but now the resources are going to go towards that ranged Synapse upgrade instead. For the Emperor, used onto these Tactical Marines here with the Plasma Gun, able to take down a couple of Homogon models before engaging in melee combat. Level 3 Tactical Marines versus level 2 Homogons here, and with the help of some Scouts, with the help of this Predator as well, going to be forcing that off. Predator is still going to remain without that Twin Link Last Cannon upgrade, and most likely Vindicare is going to be calling in some Terminators, given that he has a red, given that he has the power and is nearly having enough requisition for it as well. That Force Commando taking so much damage is going to get forced off as well. 396 red available for Vindicare, so definitely could see these Terminators get called, and could be Assault Terminators. I think it's most likely going to be Assault Terminators, given that this Carnifex is also not currently upgraded as well. Those Scouts going to be going down. Repair support for the Predator has just been lost. Predator will now need to tread ever so carefully. 25 red away, no, 25 red position away from Terminators here as well. Could spawn some Terminators onto the Carnifex here. Raven's going to be burrowing onto these double Devastators here. Tactical Marines going to be forced away on just one model. Might even get finished off, although there's nothing really to finish it off. On the retreat path, Homogon's going to be engaging here, and Assault Terminators have been called in as well onto the VP. 23 VPs to 131 Devastators, taking a lot of damage here from Termagons, but should be able to get away just fine. Hive Tyrant is going to get chased away. Termagons getting chased away by Terminators, and that Hive Tyrant is going to be going down to these Terminators, but Venom Brood are on the field. Terminators need to teleport to the Venom Brood if they have it available. The Predator is going to be driving out of combat. Big Mathis is going to go in for a cap here. The Venom Brood is still in the field. Terminator is going to be forcing off those Termagons instead. Big Mathis now forced off the field completely here. The Venom Brood also going to be needing another model, need all the AV possible. And VindicareX, if he can afford it, really needs a set of Scouts to actually repair this Predator. Level 3 Predator really wants to keep this alive. It's the good, was a really nice answer to this Carnifex, especially now there's an upgrade to a Fallen Back. The Predator can just kite the Fallen Back around. Devastator's going to be making their way towards mid as well with some Tactical Marines who are not reinforcing, probably because want to disable that requisition for some new Scouts. But Predator, I think, could also benefit from Twin Link Last Cannon once Vindicare actually has enough requisition to actually afford it after getting his Scouts. Twin Link Last Cannon will just help out getting rid of this Carnifex. Can now see that's upgraded with the Fawn Back upgrade. Rippers also getting spawned. Rippers do actually slow per attack on a vehicle by about 3%, and it does stack as well, so you want to make sure that you don't get Rippers too close to your vehicle. In fact, they're the only source of slowing vehicles, I believe, now that the Zoanthrope no longer snares vehicles. I'm not too sure if that's the only slow that Tyranids have, but I believe it is. Could be wrong there. And also, probably the Assault Terminators, as much as Assault Terminators are a very good choice. Very tanky, very durable, able to do a lot of damage in the fight. The problem is that Termagons still in the field, 2 Termagons in fact, and they can slow down or use crippling poison on your Terminators. Lightning Claw upgrade, I'm not too sure about the Lightning Claw upgrade. Very good against the Venom Brood in particular to actually get those Synapse bombs off, and very good against a lot of infantry, but I think that should maybe have been kept just to help fight the Carnifex and keep it in check. The Carnifex is going to be going in here for the Emperor. Really needs to get used onto this Last Cannon Devastator. Predator going to try and do what he can. Carnifex landing a special against these Terminators. Both have 70 melee skill, and the Terminator is going to be going for the Venom Brood instead. The Lightning Claw is not really very effective against vehicles, only doing 15% damage. Heavy melee actually doing 50% damage to vehicles. Last Cannon going to get forced off. Predator is going to be the only source of AV now against this Carnifex. These Horror-Guns are trying to engage Force Command with the Thunderham going in. 23 VPs to 48. This fight could actually decide the game. Overall, these Lightning Claw Terminators are going to work. Big Mathis is letting him actually attack the infantry, but this could be a without number game called in, and it's going to allow him to reinforce onto the field as well. In fact, it's actually a Warrior calling it with a without number called in at the very same time. Warrior's going to be jumping into this fight. That Venom Brood is going to be able to finish off the Predator. What is the Predator doing over there? He should have gone all the way back to base in case. But the Venom Brood are going to get wiped here. Predator, it looks like it might be free, but it's getting powerful locks on some Termagants, and Carnifex is actually going to go down before the Predator is able to be taken out. Terminator is going to be fighting some Termagants here. These Termagants are now all going to be going down here, and Tactical Marine is going to be going in for the cap. The problem is, oh wow, some Termagants actually got in a sneak cap against Vindicare, and as much as Big Mathis was getting destroyed in that fight in mid, the sneak cap is going to actually do it. Big Mathis is going to be able to just win on the VPs here. I didn't even notice that the Raveners actually went in here, 16 HP along with some Termagants and some Scouts here. Hope you enjoyed this cast. It was a bit of a late night cast actually, because I forgot to actually have a cast ready for today, and had to do it in the evening because I didn't actually have time to do it in the morning. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you sub or like the video if you enjoyed the video, and if you disliked it, give me a dislike and give me a reason why.